Hey everyone, and welcome to the new series A MariChat Christmas Special, written by Stacey Holt. The artwork was created and approved by Natural Wind on Tumblr. You can find the link to their page in the description box below. This is a collaborative series. The voices in the series are not only myself, but my friends as well. Shane will be voicing Cat Noir and Adrian. I will be voicing Marinette, Miss Bustier, Felix's mother Amalie, Sabine, and the narrator. Maddie is going to be voicing Tikki and Rose. Nick will be voicing Felix, as well as a reporter. Ashton will be voicing Plagg, Kagami, Nathalie, Alya, and Luka. Keaton will be voicing Luka. Freeze will be voicing Marc and Wayz. Suprey is going to be voicing a reporter, a beach jock, and an officer. Scott is going to be voicing Kim. Brad will be voicing Tom. Mylene will be voiced by Stormy333. Lila will be voiced by TheJuicyStuff. Calvin will be voicing Nino and Hawkmoth. Nathaniel will be voiced by Dylan. Iris will be voicing Sabrina. Chloe and Adrian's mother Emelie will be voiced by Anna. Master Fu and Ivan will be voiced by Christian. You can find links to their social media and their YouTube channels and all the other links as well in the description box below. If you'd like to support this series, please like, subscribe, and comment. Chapter 3. Our Baking Experience. "Cat, no!" Marinette yelled.
"What?"
he asked, confused. "You have to mix the dry flour, baking powder, ground ginger, ground cinnamon, ground cloves, and brown sugar until they're fluffy," she laughed, seeing that his face had flour all over it. Marinette took the bowl from him and gave him a towel and began to wipe his face with it. He laughed and wiped the ingredients off of his face that he decided was a good idea to mix on high. Cat watched as Marinette took the eggs and beat them with molasses and water until they were completely mixed together. He knew her parents worked in the bakery, but still. His dad was a famous fashion designer, but he still didn't know a lot about fashion. How did she know so much about fashion, drawing, decorating, sewing, and cooking? How did she have so much time to do all of that? His brain hurt just watching her cook. Marinette mixed the wet ingredients and dry ingredients together in a bowl and proceeded to knead it. She turned to look at Cat, who blushed when he was caught staring. "Want to learn how to knead dough?" she asked.
"Knead dough?"
he asked, confused. He walked over to Marinette, and she stood out of the way for him to put his paws on the dough. "Don't be shy," she teased. She stood to the side and put her hands on his and started kneading it with him, showing him how to do it. It would have been informational if he would have paid more attention, but after that night, he accidentally woke up beside her, and he couldn't get her face out of his mind. How close she was to him, how she looked when she was asleep. "Cat, are you even listening?" she asked, looking up at him.
"I just don't think I'm cut out for this part. My claws are getting stuck, princess."
He shyly laughed. "All right, you just sit there and watch. You need to know how to do this so your special someone can be amazed someday. You know you can really impress a girl if you learn how to cook." Marinette smiled. Cook? Girls like guys who can cook? He would keep that in mind. He watched as she kneaded the dough like a pro, and soon had the gingerbread house in the fridge to refrigerate at least 2 hours. Those 2 hours flew by, as he was helping her clean up the mess that he made with mixing, as the ingredients didn't just get all over his face, but all over the ground and counter as well, though she didn't complain. She didn't shoot him a hateful glare or yell. She put all of the dishes in the sink and started washing them as he rinsed them, glancing down at her, smiling as she hummed. She always did that. It was comforting. She didn't notice she was humming, but he loved it when she did it. It reminded him of his mom when she sang to him. Every once in a while, when she would hand him a dish, he would notice their fingertips would touch, and his face would flush red, and his eyes would dart to her to see if she would have any reaction, but she didn't. She acted as if nothing happened. Was it nothing? Was he overreacting? He needed to just take a breath. "Oh, it's time to get the pieces out," she smiled. As he rinsed the last dish and sat it down on the drying rack, he watched her rush over to the refrigerator and pull out all the pieces they had made. He took another fresh towel and dried his hands, watching her squeal with happiness as she looked at the results of their hard work. "These look great!" She smiled. She turned to Cat Noir and smirked, though he had no idea why.
What? Why are you staring at me like that?
He asked. "Come here, kitty kitty." His face flushed. What was she talking about? "Come cut this. I need your claws." Marinette laughed, pulling his arm toward the pieces. She pushed Cat toward the pieces as he stared down at them, confused and flustered, unaware what to do exactly. Marinette laughed, giving him a picture of how to cut them out. He nodded and began cutting them out the best he could, trying not to mess them up. Marinette saw how serious he was, his tongue poking out of his mouth as he bit down on it in deep thought. She picked up some flour and tossed it at him lightly, seeing him look up at her in surprise.
"Princess, you're making a mess,"
he said. "But we need more flour, dummy. Also, don't be so serious. It's just food. If we mess up, we can just eat it." Marinette rolled her eyes, laughing. He didn't want to be serious around her. He wanted to goof off and have fun, but he also wanted to make the best gingerbread house ever since her family was putting it up in the bakery to show it off. He didn't want to let her down.
All right.
He sighed, knowing she was right. She smiled and preheated the oven while he cut the pieces out, as she asked. After he was done cutting, he watched as she got out the parchment paper and scooted by him, brushing him as she passed. Did she know how close she was to him? Did she know that she kept touching him slightly and making his heart skip a beat every time she got a little too close for comfort? This wasn't how friends were supposed to react, right? "All right, there. Now we just pop them into the oven," she said, smiling as she put them inside.
"How long do we have to wait?"
he asked, seeing her start to put her hair into a high bun. "Oh, we aren't done," she laughed.
"What do you mean?"
"We have to make the icing," she smirked. He watched as she ran around the kitchen, fetching all of the ingredients. The once kind of clean kitchen was again back to a disaster, cluttered by dishes and ingredients on the counters. He watched Marinette whisk together the ingredients, letting Cat Noir put his finger into it every once in a while to taste test it. She set it to the side and pulled out the now cooked siding that they had in the oven, let them cool, and began setting them up with the icing that they made. "It is actually looking really good," Marinette smiled.
"What do you mean? I'm obviously a natural."
He smirked. "A natural scaredy cat," Marinette rolled her eyes.
"No way. That dough is scared of me."
"Uh-huh," Marinette laughed. "Come on, help me decorate," she smirked, seeing him pouting as he crossed his arms in protest. Cat Noir started picking up a few gumdrops, as Marinette picked up the icing bags and would let him pick where he wanted things to go. He would carefully place them where he wanted them, and each time he would place them, he would look over at Marinette with a bright grin, almost like a child would do. She would nod and smile. He smiled and would return to decorating and noticed her walk away, and all of a sudden she put on Christmas music softly in the background. He assumed to set the mood, which did the trick. She came back, slightly dancing around the table. Dancing kind of terribly, he might add, but cute enough to make him blush. "What? You don't like my dancing?" she laughed.
"You dance like a grandma."
He laughed. "Oh, would you like to teach me some skills then?" She rolled her eyes.
"I would love to, but don't we have to finish this?"
He said, putting another gumdrop on. "It's almost finished." Marinette laughed. "Plus, my mom and dad wanted to do some as well." Oops, he completely forgot about them wanting to help. It was their house after all. He sighed and shrugged, guessing he could give Marinette a few tips on how to dance, since she did dance a little awful.
All right, here, give me your hands,"
he said, taking her hands into his. Marinette watched him pull her close to him and watched his feet below her move.
"Princess, you have to keep your eyes on me or you'll trip."
He laughed nervously. "Then how will I know where your feet will go?" she huffed.
"Someone leads. Do you want me to lead?"
He smiled. "Sure." She rolled her eyes playfully. He pulled her in close, trying to remain calm, though he felt his cheeks starting to burn. He twirled her around in a circle and saw her eyes light up, and a grin started to form, causing him to smile. As the music started to pick up, he started to pick up the pace of his dancing. They danced around the kitchen until they felt eyes on them. They turned to look at the entrance and saw Sabine and Tom looking at both of them with warm smiles and jumped back from one another.
She danced so terribly, I thought I would give her some tips.
He laughed. Ugh, I don't dance terribly, you dumb cat. She stuck her tongue out teasingly. Aw, Tom, those two are so cute. Sabine laughed, causing Cat Noir and Marinette both to blush as they turned away from one another. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'd like to shout out all of my friends who agreed to partake in all of the voice acting, and you should take a look at their social media and their links below. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys!